Hello and welcome back to Coin Lady channel. In all honesty, we're just killing time till we hear the news that the Ripple case has been resolved. I have faith that the lawsuit will be resolved favorably for XRP holders by the summary judgment decision made by the presiding judge, Torres. Did you realize, however, that Judge Torres has already ruled against the SEC? In a word, yes. Have a read of this headline from the SEC on Crypto Basics. Attorney Jeremy Hogan, who represents V Ripple Pro XRP, claims that Judge Torres has already ruled against the SEC. Everything that was said will be relayed to you as well. James Murphy, an attorney who uses the handle MetaLoman on Twitter, is another example. I've been covering a fair amount of his work recently, and he provided some astounding insight into the SEC's forthcoming action against Coinbase. Although a Wells notice has been submitted, in my opinion, and I have stated this many times, this is merely a formality. Gary Gensler is aware of his own desires. He plans to file lawsuits against everybody and anything involved with cryptography. The votes are there for him to succeed. Therefore, I think it's highly likely to occur. I do want to clarify something before I go any further. I have zero experience in either the law or finance. Nothing I say or write should be taken as legal or financial advice, and you should not make any purchases or sales based on it. For fun and as a pastime, I enjoy making videos about crypto-related topics to share on YouTube. Oh, and I've got a couple of remarks from lawyer Jeremy Hogan in reaction to all this regarding the question of whether or not XRP will be relisted once this issue is resolved. And what are the chances of an SEC appeal if they do lose to Ripple? Let's skip the setup and get down to business, though. Members of the XRP community are still waiting for the resolution to the continuing legal struggle between XRP and the US Securities and Exchange Commission. Ripple's lawyer, crypto advocate and Hogan partner Jeremy Hogan, tweeted an intriguing development in the case earlier today. In a dispute involving the US Securities and Exchange Commission and Rio Tinto, a major international mining company, Attorney Hogan revealed that Judge Analisa Torres had already rendered a ruling. Note that a major motivating factor for my delight at this discovery is that I was previously unaware that such a thing existed. It just shows that she isn't scared to go against the government and rule in favor of the defendant, which is always a concern. Judges, for example, are just people. They are by no means perfect. Although, this worry has been voiced by many people over the past few years. Of course, I'm going to bring up the worry that judges will frequently side with the government regulator and give them the benefit of the doubt. It all depends on their prejudices, because, after all, we're all human. This is a strong indication that Judge Torres is about to issue a summary judgment ruling in which she expresses her true, deep-down beliefs. It's good to see this happening. The SEC fought back, too. As we progress through this narrative, you'll see. So, take a look at this. An advocate for cryptocurrency claims that in a key case, Judge Torres sided against the SEC. What follows is Jeremy Hogan's tweet in its entirety. An old case sprang to mind in which Judge Torres disagreed with the SEC on an important point. After an appeal by the SEC, Judge Torres' decision in SEC versus Torres was upheld. A Rio Tinto don't bother me with questions about how long it took. The XRP community has learned the hard way that the legal system does not move at the speed of light. Rather than an XRP fast pace, this item progresses at a rate more akin to Bitcoin's. The SEC took issue with Judge Torres' decision and filed an appeal in the hopes of overturning it. Attorney Hogan, however, said that the appeals court affirmed Judge Torres' ruling. He included a printout of the relevant section of Morrison Forrester's paper from 2022. The report states that Judge Torres concluded there is no planned liability when the only basis for such claims is an allegation of misrepresentation or omission. And that's about as much detail as you need. There's no use in going any further. Because, once more in my opinion, the most important thing to realize is that we have a judge who is not only unbiased when it comes to crypto in general but also is not afraid to rule against a federal government agency. And so, there is, of course, no surefire way to predict the future when she assumes leadership, but I've always maintained that we're on the right side of history if you take a human being with a clean slate and have them look at the facts and circumstances here. We, the holders of XRP, and yeah, it is possible that Ripple ends up having to pay a fine or a transaction here and there was deemed to be, within the way that the SEC is arguing that it is in terms of satisfying the Howey test or whatever. Who knows? However, this does not make XRP, the digital asset, a security. This means that I continue to have high hopes for the future. Here's a serious question, Jeremy, someone named Neil wrote to Attorney Hogan. Could Ripple proceed if Judge Torres rules in its favor and the SEC appeals? And, based on the ruling, could Coinbase relist, etc.? While the appeal is pending. Even if everything turns out great for Ripple, is it going to provide the legal clarity for XRP that we hope, desire, and believe it deserves? Everything is one of the largest, greater worries that we've debated within the community. Or, are cryptocurrency exchanges going to be wary, like a Coinbase type that says, well, maybe we just wait to see how this plays out? I know this because I've overheard their top lawyer discussing it. I overheard him respond to this inquiry by saying, and I'm quoting here, that it all comes down to how the ultimate result is administered. I've heard their chief legal officer, say things like, well, it just depends effectively when asked whether XRP would be relisted if the ruling went Ripple's or XRP holders' way. Jeremy Hogan responded, yes, although no guarantees as to what Coinbase would do, they haven't been very consistent to this same issue. As a result, Ripple's operations in the United States can probably resume as before. Therefore, the issue remains. Trying to expand the payment infrastructure in the United States raises the question of whether or not banks and customers will view this as a promising prospect. Is it therefore unlikely that Ripple will be successful if it re-enters the American market? And if so, to what extent? So, the outcome is still unclear. And here we have a query from someone calling himself Cuban George. I'm still holding out hope that the SEC won't appeal if Ripple wins outright. ! Not according to Attorney Hogan. Two other attorneys I've spoken with who are familiar with the case share my opinion. Furthermore, I recall Attorney Hogan discussing this issue in the past. And the rationale is because if the SEC appeals and loses, it will set a precedent. They will have lost the ability to effectively wage the battles they have been waging for the past few years, including the struggle against crypto, if they are unsuccessful in their jurisdictional land grab. This explains why Hogan expresses himself like a lawyer. If Ripple prevails, he doesn't expect them to go to appeal. Attorney James Murphy, a Meta lawyer, has this to say as well. We, have more Gensler footage. This was one I had missed. Okay, maybe I did in the strictest sense a few years ago. The work that Gensler is doing now makes it timely, nevertheless. I mentioned Gary Gensler's remarks from his time at MIT in the late 90s, 0s, or 10s might as well have been said in 2019. When comparing his past and present views on the crypto asset class, it's as if he were two completely different people. The Gary Gensler from 2018 would easily defeat the Gary Gensler from 2023 in a discussion. Right? Here we have yet another example of this phenomenon. Look at this. Here is Attorney Murphy's response. I think it's likely that the SEC will be unsuccessful in a lawsuit against Coinbase. The SEC's argument cannot be sustained. And Gary Gensler has brought this mess upon himself. I'll try to explain. Gensler, who was confirmed as SEC chairman and testified before Congress on May 6, 2021, said that the agency lacks legislative power to oversee cryptocurrency exchanges. This is a serious 45-second video clip, people. You shouldn't bother with it. According to Gary Gensler, who is well versed in the law, the SEC and the CFTC do not have the authority to oversee Bitcoin exchanges. Congress does not approve of this. 2 years ago, he already knew that. He's making new claims today, but that's because he's not being honest about his intentions. He's a monstrous person. However, the problem for the SEC, as Attorney Murphy points out, is that Gensler's testimony was completely accurate. Only Congress can decide which agency has the power to regulate cryptocurrency exchanges. The SEC can't magically create its own legal power by thinking about it too much. In the event that the SEC actually files suit against Coinbase, the company's legal team would undoubtedly focus on the internal SEC communications preceding Gensler's May 6, 2021, testimony. Before a chairman of the SEC testifies publicly, their statements undergo extensive internal review. Now, give that some serious consideration. That is a major insight. Gensler testified that the CFTC and the SEC lack the authority to oversee cryptocurrency exchanges, and Attorney Murphy once again points out that all of Gensler's testimony was pre-approved by the firm's internal legal counsel. That's a big deal. Next, Attorney Murphy makes a statement. Documents such as emails, meeting minutes, memos, text messages, chat logs, and deposition testimony will reveal that SEC employees were in agreement that the agency lacked the power to oversee cryptocurrency exchanges without explicit authorization from Congress. That's a good question. For the simple reason that no sane SEC chairman would dare testify to Congress that the agency lacked authority to do something unless he or she was positive that no legal basis existed on which to assert such authority. If the SEC goes after Coinbase in court, its lawyers will have the onerous burden of explaining away their own chairman's statement to Congress and the voluminous paperwork and internal debate that preceded it. The possibility is quite humiliating for the SEC. But the research Coinbase will do into Gensler's sudden claim that the SEC does have the authority to regulate crypto exchanges without any congressional authorization will be even more damaging. I can't believe I have friends like this. They're just being so obviously dishonest. This is a bad upgrade. They're aware of this fact because, hey, whatever the driving force is, and we may hypothesize on that, they know it. Whatever. It's obvious that these advocates' motivations aren't intellectually honest or sound, and that they are instead motivated by something else. The odds of such happening are slim to none. In this case, Gary Gensler will have to reply, "Well, I said, what can you even come up with? I know I testified before Congress that we lacked the power to do this 2 years ago, but what kind of nonsense is he going to come up with now?" But it will be glaringly obvious to any objective observer looking in from the outside. He's not being honest and forthright. No, of course not. And a judge must see, and will see this. In any case, Attorney Murphy keeps talking. He claims that the SEC's internal communications and witness testimony would essentially state, what is he talking about? We have repeatedly assured Congress and the American people that we do not have the power that we are now asserting. Where did he earn his legal credentials? Gensler does not practice law. His unambiguous testimony in front of Congress and his strange role flip with Gary Gensler, Coinbase's star witness. This is perhaps why Brian Armstrong and Paul Grewal have made it so plain in public that they are willing to fight. In a word, yes. It would appear that the executives of Coinbase, who were previously spineless, have developed some substance. Good for them, I guess. However, we shall see what transpires. A financial advisor is not what I am. Nothing I say or write should be used as a basis for making financial decisions. Please like and subscribe my channel. See you later, bye.